just a reminder that if you like anything that you hear today, you can not only subscribe, which, of course, you should obviously do, but you can follow me on Twitter at DIDDLOTIC, just like the name of the channel is. You can follow me on my new little Instagram that I'm going to use for my content, at TheRealDiddLotic. That's all lowercase, all one word. And, yeah, hope you enjoy. Alright, everybody. It is a crispy, beautiful crisp night. I think summer is finally on its way out, which means I'm going to be able to layer clothes. It's actually going to not be unbearable to walk outside, and which means tonight is, of course, a lovely night for it. It is September 14th, 2020. September 14th. A notable date in my life, because it was 7 years ago today that I entered my first ever real relationship. This is a relationship that had a very, very dramatic effect on my life in a million different ways. But I figured, hey, I said at one point I wanted to talk about notable events from my past, things I've gone through, things I've learned from them, etc., etc. So I figured, tonight of all nights, I should probably start here with the first. So, as I said, this was really my first dip into the dating world. Before that, I was very desperate? Me and my friends would come up with these schemes, like fucking cartoon characters now that I think about it. Schemes to try to get with girls we had crushes on. And of course, they never worked. And why would they? They were fucking pathetic. But, this is the first time that it actually panned out for me. And it taught me a lot about myself and life, the things during and after, because the aftermath is where the real meat and content is. But if I'm going to get there, I have to start at the beginning. So, long before me and this girl, who of course I'm not going to name any names, I'm going to leave all private info out because obviously, I'm going to do that. You'll understand much more as the story goes on. 7th grade, I had moved up to the town that I talked about in the last episode, where I got, run out of for the drunk text. But of course, this is a long, long time before. I dressed in skater clothes, I had long hair down to my back. I was kind of a shy cunt, but apparently, some of the weird girls, and I'll explain what I mean by weird soon, would have a thing for me. Yeah, I still don't know why, because, inexplicably, the outcast girls, I don't know how young some of you could be listening to this, but if you remember, the lonely girls, the, anime lover ones, the sort of roar means I love you and dinosaur type. Yeah, that. I grew up when that stereotype was real. But, I had class a lot of this time with a girl who actually ended up kind of being my stalker in 8th grade, but that's a whole side story. She had, like, a little sidekick. She was this short, cute little weird girl who nobody really talked to. She was that girl of the class. And she had a really big crush on me. So did the stalker, but she didn't tell the stalker one, because who the hell knows what she would have done. And I never really paid her any mind. I knew she had a thing for me. I didn't just shut her down. I wasn't mean. Despite what a lot of my stories entail, I wasn't really that much of a douche to random people. I was to friends just for a laugh. I was to people who I really didn't like and I had a good reason. But if there was someone who liked me and I didn't like them back like that, I was still friendly. I mean, I would almost say we were close to friends, which probably wasn't good as far as not liking somebody, and I guess I would kind of keep them attached. But she was, I don't know, she was cool. Unattractive, but she was cool. But to skip ahead, because that's just a little bit of the background, it was September 14th, 2013. Lifetime ago. I had already left that town from the other story, and I set up my childhood best friend with a girl from that town who was a very close friend of mine. I actually set them up over, I think it was Xbox 360 party chat, which is very funny to think back on now. Oh my god, but they kind of hit it off, and I played matchmaker, and I think they started going out September 2nd of that year. But we all planned on going up there. It was me and my friend going up to see this girl, because despite the fact that they started going out over party chat, they never actually met in person, so I was going to be the guy to make sure it all went over smoothly. And it did, but that's besides the point again. So, what I didn't know until I think I was driving up there with him is that this girl texts me and goes, "Oh, hey, remember so-and-so? I invited her over, too." And I was fine with it. Because I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, I remember her. She was all right." I had apparently forgotten about all the stuff with her having a crush on me. But so we're driving up there, me and my stupid sharp cheekbones and wannabe David Tennant hair. Very different than I look now. Just this Doctor Who obsessed nerdy mess. And we arrived up there, and both my friends are hitting it off. They're doing totally fine. We're just probably playing Minecraft. We did that a lot on the 360. Yeah, we were those kind of people. And it was a while before this girl showed up. We didn't even know if she was going to show at a point. And I still remember pretty vividly when I heard the front door open behind us, because we were in the living room, and this girl came in. I remember still the whoa reaction I had. Time had been very, very kind to this girl. She still had that whole, typical middle school emo look that girls had, even though we were in high school. But, some people don't grow out of it. Late bloomers, they don't grow out of that for a while. Some probably still haven't. But, she came in, and she looked shockingly good. Nothing like I remembered her. She still had the same voice and personality, and she spoke with a lot of, she called everyone dude, and she was, she was cool. She was just cool for the time. And we all sit down, and I think I shot a glance to my friend, and I was like, I don't know how to describe the face, but it was like, who, what? Whoa, what? And part of me still thinks that this girl that I set up and him planned to try to set me and her up, but I've never had confirmation of that. So, we're all sitting there watching some movie. I can't remember what on earth it was, but it was some awful low-budget horror movie that we were watching just to make fun of. We did that. Me and this girl that ended up dating, we would watch bad movies and just tear them apart because we were both horror movie people. And when we saw awful shit that didn't make sense, we laughed. We had each other fucking rolling. But at this point, we couldn't even speak to each other. Me and this girl were sitting next to each other. She was on my right on the couch, I was to the left. And we could barely look at each other, which I think must have sent some signal where A, she still had a thing for me, and B, I apparently discovered, I think I like this girl. And back then, that's all you needed. If you liked a girl, that's it. No more. There's no more background info needed. No more anything. It is you like a girl, going for the girl. That's it. That's teenager stuff. I was 15, 16, something like that. So, yeah, I was trying to think. I think I was 16. Whatever. I'm not going to do quick math. But, eventually, we get to a part in the movie, and I don't know if it was the looks that this girl and my friend, the other girl, my friend that was a girl, and my friend that I set up with her, were sending me looks, or maybe sending her looks, or maybe even texting her, because we had our phones out the entire time. I decided to text this girl. And now that I'm telling the story, how the fuck did I have her number? I might have, because I still have numbers from my whole life. I never delete contacts. I very well could have still had her number in my phone from, 7th grade, I think. And luckily she still had the same number. Around 2:30 p.m., September 14th, 2013. Actually, it could have been like 2:32 p.m.? Maybe? 2:34? I don't know. I texted her, asking her out. And oh my god, for the first time in my little nerdy life, she actually said yes. Which, with the info I've given you now, isn't that surprising. But I'd known nothing but rejection from that point. So I'm like, wait a minute. And I look over to her, and she looks to her/my friend, and has the most bright, excited smile on her face. Like, I made this girl's life by asking her out. I still remember that. I'll probably never forget that either. That whole day exists as a memory. I have a rough outline here for the podcast, and I could only write so much. But there are such minute details that I remember about that day, and really this whole era. But, anyways, the rest of the day, we are actually speaking to each other, and we are laughing our fucking balls off. Oh, great, there's a fucking fire truck going by. Oh, great, I hope they burn. Thanks for fucking this up. I'm not gonna edit that out. Again, I record this all on my cell phone. I'm not editing dog shit out, but that... Oh my god, here comes another one. Hear it go by. You know what's funny? If I had the capability of editing my fucking podcasts, I'm still not sure if I would edit that stuff out, because you people need to share in my annoyance. Living on a main road sucks donkey fucking balls, and I can't stand it. But this is the shit I gotta deal with. Back to the story. Yep, okay, that's not another one. Back to the story. The rest of the day, we're making each other laugh like fuck, just with our stupid comments on things we're observing in movies. That one movie that I can't for the life of me remember what it was. Oh my god, there was this scene. It was a 2-part movie, I think, and there was a scene, it was a horror movie, really bad one. And a bunch of people were like trapped in a room, and there was like a metal grid coming down from the roof about to chop them up or something. It was slow moving. It was really bad. What the fuck was that? That's gonna annoy me forever, because I'm never gonna know the answer to that. So, God, don't you just love how I get off track? It wouldn't be an episode of Lovely Night for it if I didn't babble off on a tangent. And you know what? I'm not sorry. I enjoy going off the top of my head, so I'm going to keep doing that. Probably forever. So, we text more that night, and for a week after that, yeah, because it was the 14th, so it'd be 7 days later, the next Saturday, which was September 21st, which was official date, number 1, / meeting the family. Now, I didn't meet the whole family, but this was the first time that I met anybody from her family. So my dad drives me up to the house, which is down the street from my old house, actually, like walking distance. Now, back then, I couldn't drive, obviously, so my dad is just driving me up there in his little, at the time, white Fiat 500. It was a fucking egg on wheels. I hated that piece of dog shit. But he had that at the time, and, beggars can't be choosers. I was happy to go up there. I remember pulling up that long, long dirt driveway, and her mom is outside, or just comes outside. The girl must have been inside. I think she was getting ready. she was getting all dolled up for her first date. Also, my first real date. So it's very cutesy thinking about it. But her first words to me are, "So you're James, huh?" And I'm like, yeah. And she's really excited. And she goes, "Finally get to meet you. We've been hearing your name bounce around this house for years now." And hearing that, I still remember how, like, oh my God, like, when she had a thing for me in middle school, she would, like, talk about me to her family. Like, how fucking sweet and wholesome is that? So, I'd call that a good first impression, because I was just like, oh my God, really? I'm sure I tried to hide my excitement, but I doubt I really could have fully. Her dad and her little brother weren't there that day. I did meet them the next time. So we went to see a movie at the Lincoln Mall Showcase Cinema or Theater, whatever. I don't remember the name of it. And we went to see another horror movie, of course, called You're Next, which I think is on Netflix. I'm not sure if that was when it originally came out, because last time I checked, Netflix said it came out in 2011, but it was in theaters in 2013. Maybe it was a re-release. Maybe they got the date wrong. It's another thing that doesn't really matter, but just adds a little bit of juiciness to the story. So we go to see this movie. We, of course, are horror movie people. And if you've seen the movie, you know it's not really that scary. It's interesting. The plot is pretty good. But it's not, I don't know, scary? I like psychological scary movies. A lot of the pop-out shit doesn't do it for me. And even then, this movie didn't have too much. Like, I like The Shining. That's my favorite horror movie of all time. So, You're Next, sure as shit, is not like The Shining. But we didn't really care about that. We were just really purely and truly enjoying each other's company, which was entirely new to both of us. Entirely new to me, for sure. We were that type where we could be in silence and still have this weird sort of radiating back and forth of emotion and just comfortability. And it was really, really nice, really incredible. It's funny now, because writing down the notes and the rough outline for this podcast, I didn't really I didn't really dwell on a lot of the things, but now that I'm immersing myself in the memory that I really haven't thought about in a couple years, it's weird to think how emotion feels different when you're a teenager. Maybe it's the lack of life experience. Maybe growing up really does dull you down. Or maybe that's my own personal experience. I don't really know. But, God, it's funny. It's funny. It'll be funny to hear this back, too, because it's really sort of hitting me. Those are emotions and feelings that I really don't feel anymore. And that's just because I had no exposure to situations like that. There's something so magical about these things when you're young. Fuck, I mean, if you're young and you're hearing this, take advantage of that. Because it's gonna be weird when it's gone. Not necessarily a depressing weird or this longing, but it's just gonna be like, wow, these events don't feel like this anymore. The same thing can happen to you when you're older, and it just doesn't feel the same. God, that's bizarre. But I remember one thing. She was sitting to the left of me, and we were sitting in the top row of seats because that's where I love to sit. Obviously, it's the only real place you should sit in a movie theater. And during some part of it, without even looking at each other, just knowing, we held hands in the theater. And it was cool. Because we had little hand holding walking around the Lincoln Mall area before going in. The day that we started going out, we were sitting next to each other on the couch. But this was, I don't know. We didn't look at each other. We didn't say anything. It was like she just made her hand available over the armrest. And it's like I just knew to look at that moment out of the corner of my eye. And we held hands for the rest of the movie. And it was really sweet. And I don't know for sure, because again, we were focused on the movie, trying to not, if we addressed the moment, it would have become like, and all like, we're shy teenagers, do not know what we're doing. And we would have been like, oh God. But I think she was smiling. I think she was happy. And so was I, to be honest. Skipping ahead now, which is probably the biggest, out of all the dates we would have, the biggest one is probably date number 2, where I met the rest of her family, and we had our first real kiss. So this was the following Saturday, September 28th, 2013, and I was invited this early on to a big family dinner at her aunt's house. And I finally got to meet her dad and little brother, and like the mom, for some reason, the whole family was super welcoming and really liked me. I don't know why. I hadn't done anything to earn that, but they just naturally, initially liked me. And they start telling me how much her mood and even her grades and stuff in school improved since she started going out with me. Yet another moment of like really sweet realization that I'm having a real positive impact on somebody that I'm really starting to care about. And that's a feeling of fulfillment you don't get from many things. Many things at all, actually. Apparently her mood for the past couple years hadn't been very good. I know she almost had a thing with a guy who turned out to be a real prick. He would manipulate her, and I think they ended up getting a restraining order on him because when she wouldn't give him like enough attention, I think he claimed to have taken a bunch of pills. And keep in mind, they're 14, 15 years old. That he took a bunch of pills and was going to kill himself, and he called her up to say that he did it. So this little teenage, twiggy, innocent as can be girl just had to call a rescue for a guy that she sort of was like on the outs with, and that had to mess with her deep down. Of course, I mean, I haven't experienced that exact situation, but I would imagine it would to anybody. But anyways, not trying to get off track. So her dad is driving us all there. I got dropped off at her house, hung out for a bit of the day. We got driven down there. The dinner was fine. The family was nice, and they eventually let us hang out in the finished downstairs basement alone. We actually, yes, you heard that right. They let these two newly dating teenagers hang out in a finished basement alone to watch movies. And this time we didn't watch a horror movie. With the lights off, we were sitting on the edge of a bed. Yeah, again, you heard that right. I can't fucking believe they allowed that to happen. But we start watching the movie A Bronx Tale. And it's a very good movie. I admittedly haven't watched the movie since this night. It's been on a couple times. It's one of the few holdouts I have from this time where I'm like, nah, don't want to watch it. I want it to stay a pure, unmolested part of my memories. There are a few things in my life that I've done that to. I've shut them away and been like, nah, that belongs then. I won't bring it into now. And no, that movie is one of them. And during a part I can't remember, I wish I did, there might have been music in the back, like that jazzy sort of shit. In my head, I'm sure I had it planned like it was a movie moment. We were holding hands, she was sitting to the right of me on that bed, lights were off. Nothing but the light of the TV at us. We look at each other, and we kiss. And I mean kiss. And the rest of that night, the rest of that relationship, from there on out, we were, and we acknowledged that we were, absolutely obsessed with each other. Absolutely crazy about each other. I'll never forget the drive home that night. Even more so than all these other things I'm saying that I'll never forget. Because after leaving, it was pitch black out. This was a rural neighborhood. It was windy back roads in the woods, paved, but no street lights or anything. We're in the third row seat in the back of that great, 05-ish era blue Chevy Suburban with the big sunroof, moonroof that stretched across the rows. And we're just looking up at the night sky and the stars that there's no light pollution. The city that I'm used to, you don't really see the stars that much, but the world around us was silent except for the radio, the car radio, and this moment where In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins came on. And despite what that song is about, from then on, that sort of was our song. We were sitting back there, both of our heads tilted back, looking through there, and having that song play was iconic, memorable, magical. I regret using those words earlier in the podcast because those words are appropriate for then. That night was the real big night for us, where I realized this is something I want forever. I could never go back to the weird way that I lived my life before this moment, this night, the feelings. I could never unfeel them. Months go on, and we, during school, after school, good morning, good night, we text each other all the time. And every Saturday, every single Saturday, we wouldn't miss it for anything. we would hang out, for the most part, at each other's house. Sometimes not even playing two-player Minecraft on Xbox 360, or just hanging out and talking, or just making a quick little, like, bowl of ice cream for each other, sitting, watching Netflix or whatever in my room, where I'm recording now. It's weird, I've been in the same room all these years. Looks very different now, looking around. But, we do that, and that's enough for us. My family, especially my mom's side, loves her. My dad's side didn't really meet her. My dad did, obviously, but he's not... He didn't really make any opinion known. He isn't really the type to do that. I think he liked her. But fuck if I really ever asked or really knew. So we become closer and closer. And we are texting all of the time. Which, I gotta tell you, isn't good. It's not a good idea to text all the time. Because eventually, it becomes expected to text and respond all the time. Even when you have nothing to say to each other, it's expected that you will answer all the time. Say good morning every day. Say good night every night. We didn't see the effect of this, but it was happening and we didn't really know it yet. That sort of thing becomes an issue after the period of a relationship being cutesy and just starting out. It gets real old real fast. And actually I'll admit, me mainly, didn't get that. But oh, we would. We were close enough, though, that we had these, like, inside jokes. I'm trying to remember all of them. As the years go on, I forget them, and that's really sad. I wish I recorded something like this much, much earlier in life, before a lot of it went away. But we had this joke about, birds. And we were just these stupid fucking teenagers, so it was, again, that weird, unfunny sense of humor. Where it was like, oh, what was it? Something about, like, the birds were, like, teaming up in evil. And every time you'd see birds, it was like, oh, the fucking birds. Oh, God. You know, it doesn't sound like a cute inside joke when I put it that way, but I can't remember all the details. I can remember the minute I asked her out, but I can't remember half of our inside jokes. That shows you how the mind can block things out after a while. But, eventually, and this is a big note I have, November 12th is the next notable event in this story. And the